I welcome you to the last episode in our Zambia-Malawi expedition. No expedition goes by where I don't learn a lot, and this was no exception. I'll share with you what I learnt about the vehicle I was driving, the minimalist approach to equipment and gear, the camera equipment I used, and a bit more about the countries that I travelled through. The Isuzu KB has electronic four-wheel drive control, which means basically an electric switch down there next to the gear stick, two-wheel drive high ratio, four-wheel drive high ratio, four-wheel drive low ratio. I've never really gone for the electric control. I've always preferred a lever, something mechanical. I suppose I'm old school. On this trip, never have I appreciated an electronic system more, because we have been, and right now, on a road that is being built. Where we go onto long stretches of fast tar and then onto extremely rough and slippery diversions. And I've been just leaning down and putting it in four-wheel drive. I always say that when you're on a gravel road, you should put a vehicle in four-wheel drive. If you've got a four-wheel drive vehicle, use it, because it makes the vehicle so much more stable, easy to drive. It tames the oversteer on a slippery gravel surface. There are no surprises. It's safety, 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 safety. Put it in four-wheel drive. This vehicle is on four-wheel drive right now, and it is like it is on rails. It's not slipping around. It is not doing anything untowards, unexpected on this very unpredictable surface. I get back onto the fast tar, I go straight into two-wheel drive without thinking. I don't slow down. Whoa! Zambians love their humps. And I'm trying to make good time this morning. I've got a long way to go, so I'm being a little bit aggressive, trying to keep the pace. And it's fantastic, the fact that I can, because if I don't put it in four-wheel drive on this gravel, I have to reduce my speed. The tail starts moving around. I can control it, yes, but it's dangerous, and there are trucks coming, and I don't want it to unexpectedly start sliding, particularly if there are trucks around. Put it in four-wheel drive, problem gone, speed maintained. With a mechanical system, I can't do that. Well, with most mechanical systems, I cannot do that. With part-time two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive systems, I have to stop the vehicle. In this case, I don't have to. It's fantastic. I've spent 25 days with the Isuzu double cab four-wheel drive, the 3-litre turbo diesel. And only can you get to really appreciate a vehicle once you've done a trip like this. We've had long days on tarmac, long days on rough gravel, off-road, sand, rocks, and I've been carrying a load. That I consider to be a really worthwhile test for any 4x4. And this vehicle, I am knocked out by this vehicle. In the roughest and most difficult off-road sections on the way down here to Mvu Lodge on the Zambezi River, it performed brilliantly. It did so well, and it's a stock vehicle. It has no aftermarket suspension or shocks. Yes, that would improve things, of course it would. A little bit of a lift would improve things, of course it would. But as a standard vehicle, this motor is sweet. It pulls brilliantly from low RPM. It's economical. The ride is good. I have a few negative things about it. Well, actually only one. I think the turning circle is poor. And honestly, it's been fantastic. So now, can it be categorized with the best of the four-wheel drive double cab pickups? Namely, if I think about them, Amarok, Hilux, Ranger? No question about it. And if you're a serious off-roader and you want a vehicle that's going to go long distances and carry a load and be an instrument for fantastic overland adventures, don't ignore the Isuzu. I think up to now it's had less press than the other makes. Why? I don't know. It's one of the good ones. In fact, it's one of the great ones. One of the things I set out to prove on this Zambia expedition was that it's not necessary to buy lots and lots of kit to have an incredible time. So I've got to get some gear. I'm keeping this simple. I'm gonna carry the bare minimum. This whole idea is we don't need to buy lots and lots of kit, but we do need the minimum. We've got to be comfortable. I've carried water in water containers, one with a tap, one without, and a separate one to decant. I have strapped them down. That's all. I haven't plumbed anything. I've just kept it simple. I put load bars. Ideally, these load bars would actually be closer to the front of the vehicle for weight distribution. In this particular case, it's not my vehicle. I didn't want to go and drill holes anywhere to put load bars in, so I made do. But ideally, they should be up front. But apart from that, why do all the plumbing? Sticking with the theme of staying light, plastic cutlery. It's very good quality plastic cutlery, really made for hikers. If you're ever thinking about what to take, if you you like this idea of being minimalistic and leaving behind the rubbish, the stuff that you don't need, and just taking what you will definitely need, speak to motorcyclists. They've been forced into every trip they do. They only take what they really need. What was good, of course, is that they were close to the back, easy to access. But with a proper canopy, when I say proper, I'm talking about not a fiberglass canopy, I'm talking about a canopy that has easy access from the sides. You can put these right up front and access them from the side easily. Likewise, my boxes, packing boxes, are forward, weight forward, high up, easy to access. My approach to gas has changed over the years. I used to carry big gas bottles. The trouble with a big gas bottle, you have now this heavy thing that is in the vehicle. It has to be, for safety reasons, strapped down. And then when it's empty, it's still this large, heavy object. And you have to now go and find somewhere to have it filled. I now use these. They may be less efficient cost-wise, but I mean, this trip I'm going on now, 3 is plenty, really. This kitchen unit, to be honest with you, nice to have. Essential? No, not at all, really. And we used it because we had it. Essential? Not at all. So, you've got to tie down your fridge. Do you need a fridge slider like this? No, not necessary. Again, because the canopy allows me to access from the side. This vehicle is stock apart from tires, and I've changed the tires because I have my own favorites that I wanted to use. What else did I do to the vehicle? Nothing. Nothing. So I'd like to just encourage you, if you've got a four-wheel drive, now let's put this in perspective. You're going to need four-wheel drive. You're going to need a four-wheel drive with reasonable clearance, and you're going to need a four-wheel drive with transfer gearing, low transfer gearing, which means that when things do get challenging, you can get excited about it as opposed to scared about it. So in terms of vehicle choice, crossover vehicles to me, I don't know what they are. They seem to have no purpose at all. So, but once you've got your vehicle, go on your first trip. Get some very basic kit. Go on a trip. I want to discourage you from thinking, oh, I'll go when I get this. You don't need it. Go and have an amazing time with a stock vehicle with just some basic kit in the back. because then when you've come back from your first, second or third trip, having not spent much money, then you'll know exactly what to spend your money on, and you'll get it right first time. During my expedition to Zambia, I've had the opportunity to learn a great deal about canopies and pickups. I've owned one myself, but my experience has been a little bit limited, and this vehicle with this Bushtec canopy and the 2 weeks that I'm now spent with it has taught me a great deal. One of the things that is critical with canopies is trying to keep out dust. Now, when we fitted the canopy, we applied a lot of sealant and foam to the load bay itself. We also did quite a bit of work to the tailgate. Okay, particularly the bottom tailgate and the areas around here where we added automotive rubber seals, foam down there, along here, and of course on the side as well. It helped a lot, and it did exclude a lot of dust, I am sure, but a lot of dust still got in. That is why it is far, far better to plastic coat the inside of the vehicle. And although we sealed the inside in very many places, dust still got in. But one of the problems is when a canopy gets a bit old, it starts to get dust, starts to get in underneath the seal all around it. This is common with most canopies. Most canopy makers use a foam, a open cell foam in this area, and the trouble is with open cell foam, it has a memory. So when it is crushed as the canopy is mounted, then it sets. Canopies are not particularly flexible. It's not a flexible shape. It doesn't allow a lot of flex. But the way vehicles are actually built, they are designed to flex. If the canopy is mounted too rigidly onto the body will flex, the canopy won't, something's going to give. The first thing that's going to give is the rubber seal. It's going to be squashed, crushed, or stretched. Eventually, something's going to crack. So that's why canopy makers put foam in here. It's not just for sealing, it's also to allow for flex. But now here's the thing. After a while, the foam gets a memory. It actually has a memory. And you can actually see here, if I point down here, this is the kind of foam that's been put in. Okay, this foam here is an open cell foam, and it has a memory, and you can see it's already got a shape. That has been it's been squeezed between that area there. It seals between there and this moving tailgate. If that same foam is used in the application here, well then the same thing is going to apply. It's going to get a memory. So if it gets a memory and this starts flexing, eventually you're going to get a gap. So what a lot of canopy owners do is they just tighten it up. The trouble is with that is it does help to reduce the gap and reduce dust, but only for a period, because it then will get crushed even more and the memory will set in, so the problem will persist. But worse than that, it bolts the canopy to the vehicle frame and doesn't allow for flex. So this flexes, the vehicle flexes, and the canopy doesn't, and normally the canopy cracks. So cracking canopies are not necessarily, in fact mostly, they're not about a badly built canopy at all. They're about a badly maintained mounting or badly designed mounting, and that's the main problem. So if you have a canopy and it is starting to leak dust in the actual mounting itself, then replace the rubber. Don't tighten it. It's not going to help. If it helps a little bit, it'll help for a very short time. The Bush Tech, their Canopy, they're using an unusual, and it's not an unusual product, but it's unusual for canopy makers. They don't use foam. They don't use the closed cell foam, and they tell me that that's why. This doesn't have a rubber. This is the similar or same profile as used on doors in motorcars. If you have a look at the inside of any door of a car, you will see they don't use foam. They use rubber, and it's actually got, just go out to any vehicle and you'll see it's not foam. Okay, they don't use foam because foam has a memory. They could use a closed cell foam, which is extremely expensive, but not even as good as this. So my suggestion is, if your canopy is getting a little bit tired in terms of it's getting a little bit of dust in, take it off, replace the foam with something like this, and don't over tighten it. Absolutely critical. And one of the things that I know that happens in the industry quite a lot is a canopy will be delivered to a fitment center, and the fitment center people, they're not well trained, so they just tighten it. It mustn't be tightened. It must actually have a gap. It must be proud. It must have a space between the canopy body and the vehicle body to allow for flex. Kate and I have been chatting while in the car, and we've both come up with our favourite piece of kit that we've enjoyed on our Zambia expedition, and she will share hers with you now. Mine is this one. It's called a Nocco Genius Boost. It is a battery, but this is a battery that is, well, it is the most versatile battery I have ever seen. To begin with, you turn it on with a little switch like that. It goes on, immediately tells you the charge of the battery, and then I can press another button and it has a little light. Okay, so we've been using it. It gives a broad light, good for the campsite. We've used it almost every night. So it gets a little bit more interesting than that. It is charged by USB. So I've actually left it in the car being charged with a small 12-volt USB connector in the cigar lighter, and it's been charging every day. So every evening it's fully charged. That's great. So now it starts getting interesting. I can charge my video camera. One of my video cameras allows me to charge via USB. It's got a USB 5-volt output there, 2.1 amp output there. I can charge my cell phone, etc., etc. But that isn't the best part. The best part is that because we've been on this expedition running a fridge every night, all night, but with no dual charge system, we've had to rely on the car's own battery. So the question is, well, what happens if I overdrain the battery and then the car won't start in the morning? Enter the Genius Boost. And this is the best part about this. I can attach, and that's what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to attach jumper leads. So, it can deliver 400 amps. So that is designed to jumpstart a car. 400 amps is ample for a large diesel engine. So it's been an insurance policy, a working insurance policy, an insurance policy that has given us light during the day, power during the night, day, night. That's been my favorite piece of kit because it's given me peace of mind, and it's been really useful as well. So that's my favorite.
We were talking about what our favorite pieces of kit were on this trip, and mine is this. It's a Leatherman, and it's really simple. It's just a knife. No other weird components or whatever, but it's perfect for literally everything. You can, and that's basically what we've been using it for, absolutely everything. It's perfectly sharp, really easy to use, and yep, all day, every day, using it for everything.
Just to give you a little bit of information about what I'm using to film this. This is my first 4K production, and so this is my main camera mount. Here it is here. Oh, these are researchers. They're going to pass behind us. They're researchers and they're based here. Yeah, so we weren't totally alone, but we're the only campers. This is the camera here. It's the Sony AX100. It is a 4K, proper 4K camera. 6 months of research before I bought it, and the main reason why I decided to do this production in 4K is that I am planning to do a big expedition in Australia next year, and I definitely wanted to do that in 4K. So I got this, and I got the new GoPro, which is filming this now. And 4K is wonderful, wonderful. It's not, the camera is not as creatively I can't manipulate it as much as I normally do my cameras for beauty shots, because it is a camcorder. It's not really a professional piece of equipment. It's more prosumer or even consumer camera, but it is genuine 4K. And of course, very important, my microphone, that is a stereo microphone, and I have in fact 4 microphones with me. That's the one I use often as well. That's a Sennheiser rifle microphone, and of course the microphone that I'm recording this on is my little lapel microphone there. So basically I'm carrying 3 cameras, well 4 if you count the second GoPro, but I'm not using that because it doesn't shoot full 4K. And so I've really just turned this Zambia expedition into a 4K shoot, and it will be available on YouTube in 4K. So this is in a way, it's turned out to be the test bed for the big Australia expedition. And if this one doesn't work out quite perfectly in 4K, then that's okay. I would have learned so much through the process that I know next time for the biggie, I've got my 4K technical stuff all sussed out.
Thank you for watching. If you would like to take our relationship to the next level, support me on Patreon. Just $1 a month to support our video productions. Download everything I've ever made and watch them on the big screen on forexoverland.com. Or subscribe now on YouTube.